No problem.
What do you think of your first experience in qualifying? What level of happiness or dissatisfaction do you have with the results? What do you think of the overall performance?
Yeah, so from a dissatisfaction standpoint, I'm not too dissatisfied, to be honest. We knew coming into this, it was going to be a learning process. For a lot of us, it's going to be our first experience getting this CONCACAF feel. Yeah, we've had Nations League. Yeah, we've had the Gold Cup, but that was not with traveling here after playing on a Sunday or Saturday, quick turnaround, and having to fly down to El Salvador and battle it out and grind it out. So for us, it's going to be a learning process. So from an overall team performance, there's a few positives that we can take away from it. Of course, we want to be better in the final third, a little bit more combination play, a little bit more ruthless in front of the goal. But at the end of the day, we got a clean sheet away. So for our first start, we'll take that and we'll move on to the next one.
Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated.
Thanks, Milo.
Hey, how are you?
Okay. Was there anything in the atmosphere, the scene, the setting, in the stadium that you kind of had to experience to really understand? You heard about it, you heard stories, but to experience it yourself tangibly, now you really get it, now you really understand it, and is it something that you can then carry forward into Honduras and the rest of the qualifying?
Oh, 100%. There's a lot that you can take away from that. Gio going to take a corner. When he's playing in Dortmund, he's not getting hit with water bottles, or in the Bundesliga. So that's fairly new. But from a personal perspective, I've played in the stadium before. I've played against Alianza, had CONCACAF Champions League experience, had youth national team experience, qualifying, going through that process. So from my perspective, yeah, I knew that the level was obviously going to be higher than that, but I knew what to expect from that standpoint. So I think there's a lot of guys that didn't have that experience and now have a little bit of that feel. But again, it's our first game. We have to take what we can get from it, and 1 point is better than 0. So we'll move on to the next one.
Next will be Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Does the team sense the expectations now have risen around this? In the past, a point on the road at El Salvador would have been a great thing. Does it seem like the focus of that expectation has changed?
I mean, for me personally, and I get the same feeling from the team, the standard is high. The bar is high. We want to win as many away games as possible. We know that tangibly it's not going to be the easiest, and we knew that before we had that first experience. But now, after having that first experience, I think that we know we have to dig in a little bit deeper. In the late stages of the game, when we continue to create these half chances, we just need to get after it. We need to finish, and we find that first goal, we can put these games away. We know that we have the quality to do so, but again, these games don't rely on quality. These games rely on your mentality and how far you can dig deep and really just give it everything.
Next will be Grant Wall.
Tyler, when you find out you're going to be captain, what was your response to that?
Yeah, Greg told me this morning that he'd like me to be captain, and we talked through some things, and yeah, of course it's exciting to be captain and be able to lead this group, this very young group. It was excitement for me. I think that I was ready for the challenge, and I'm ready to lead the group. So moving forward, obviously, if I'm going to be captain again for the next couple of games or however it's going to work, I take that challenge on the chest, and I'm ready to fight and battle for it.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
You talked about Gio dumping water bottles on the corner. How else was it different other than that? What are some of the other examples that struck you as different from what you faced on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can say, right? From the pitch, from the ball, from when the ball goes out, the ball boy is walking to give you the ball and wasting time in the first half of a game. I mean, these are things that you can't really be naive about, but you have to experience a little bit of it to realize next game I'm going to run to the ball boy, I'm going to take the ball. On these set plays or these fouls, we can't give too many little fouls around the box because we know that the ref's going to call it. So we just have to be smart. We have to learn from this. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excuses that can be made, but I'm not here to sit here and make excuses.
Next we'll go to Paul Tenorio.
Thanks so much, Tyler. Considering what you guys kind of learned about how difficult it is to get 3 points on the road in CONCACAF qualifying, how much more of an importance does it put on Sunday's game at home against Canada and on making sure you get those 3 points in those home games? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we said, the standard is obviously to get 3 points in every game, but we know that that's obviously not always going to be the easiest thing, especially after a game like this. So, moving into Sunday, we knew that having our fans behind our back and getting that momentum is going to be super important, because then that puts us obviously in an even better position to go back on the road again for the Honduras game.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
You talked earlier about kind of not being able to connect in the final third.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was missing tonight? What do you think that was?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not a player that's often in the final third, but I think that the chemistry and the connection is is definitely there. Like I said, I think we created more half chances than big chances. But I was telling some of the guys, when you get in the final third, that's where you just come alive. Just do what you're good at. Be a little bit selfish at moments. Take shots. Be dangerous. But I think in games like that, it's important to test the goalkeepers, test the defenses, make them uncomfortable. A lot of times I think that we were playing maybe in between the lines instead of running in behind and using our speed and our power and some of our qualities that we have. But again, that's one of those things you have to look at the video and kind of dissect exactly how we can break teams down a little bit better.
Next will be Claudio Villalobos.
Hey, Tyler. Thank you, Michael. I changed my question already since I've started listening to you and Greg. Greg mentioned, and you did too, that this was a learning experience for sure, going abroad in El Salvador and with everything that happens there. And also, you also mentioned a couple of times already that one of the main problems what happens in the last third. Now, my question goes like this: having experienced what you did today against El Salvador, if that is not corrected against a more accomplished and experienced teams like Canada, even though you guys are going to be home here in Nashville, would that be probably something that will come back and haunt you?
I mean, not every game is going to be the same as El Salvador. We have to play, obviously, 8 different teams, and they're all going to play a different style of play. So how we match up against them, obviously which players we use, which players are available, it's going to give us different options and different flexibility. So, yeah, we're not going to sit here and talk into the future and talk about what might haunt us or hurt us. But, yeah, in the next game, our goal is obviously to score a couple goals.
Last question comes from Fabian Rankel from Area Sports Network.
Thank you for your time. As the captain tonight, was there a situation where you had to motivate the guys on the field? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all the guys had self-motivation. I think my job is, as captain today, was really to keep the team organized and stable. Obviously, at times we get a little bit stretched, but getting on guys, the guys respond well to that. So just being able to communicate with the players, communicate with guys that are my friends is very important. But at the same time, when you can't hear in a stadium like that, whether it's motivation, corrections into the formation, and where players should be positioned, we need to look around and obviously be able to communicate a little bit better than we did today.
We will take one more question from Ryan Talmadge.
Hey, Tyler, I think a lot of people don't understand how hard this is. And, that's something that's been talked about in the lead up. And I'm sure you have teammates in Leipzig who are like, Tyler, you've played against Bayern or you've played in the Champions League. What is it about El Salvador? And, you've talked about it a little with Gio getting hit with things and the emotion and the tension and the fireworks and all that. But what's it like when you finally get in there and kind of step on the field? What's the emotion, the tension, the physicality? What do you kind of feel once you finally get out there and experience it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I talk with my teammates in Leipzig all the time about, which games I have during the international window, and, they sit there and laugh because they have to play against England, France, obviously some great countries with a lot of talent. And I tell them, trust me, I'd rather play against France, England in these games where the conditions and the fans and the pitch and the ball and everything is an ideal situation. For us, it's never going to be an ideal situation on the road. So, the energy is just completely different. You have to go into the game with the right mindset and be ready to battle. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Is they're intense, they're feisty, they're gritty. You can't go into these games naive. For me, I think that the energy going into these games has to be right.